Hello, everyone. So, for this pre recorded lecture, I'll be discussing Chapter 7 Accounting for Materials. Okay, so just to show you the big picture. So, first, we are going to discuss the two types of inventory system, ang periodic and perpetual, which I believe you have discussed last sem. So, this is just a review. Second, we are going to talk about the control procedures for materials. Di ba? Syempre, even small business owners need to adopt measures to have control over first ang purchasing nila. So, when do they purchase and how many units, di ba? Kay dapat dili sila mahutdan og stock or dili pud sila manubrahan og stock kay ha pud nila butang, and that's when our storage and handling na dayon comes in. So do the store have enough space, and if wala, will they rent out spaces, no? And will it also be safe from theft? And lastly, ang control on the consumption of materials. How can they minimize mga rejects or mga waste? Now, for this chapter, we will be discussing five control procedures: ang order cycling, min-max method, two-bin method, automatic order system, ABC, plan, physical count, and also the control of investment in materials. And actually, daghan siya, but for this chapter, they have identified five. No? Okay, depende sa type of business you are running. Okay, you can be your own, you can own businesses. And next, we will also talk about purchasing procedures. So this is actually a new concept. So we have reorder point, EOQ, or the economic order quantity, and the safety stock. So please prepare for your calculators for this part. Fourth, we have methods of costing materials issued and finished goods. So this is the main or ang bida chapter. We will be learning how to account for materials using FIFO, LIFO, and then average. So for average, we have moving average method, and for periodic inventory system, and then weighted average method for perpetual inventory system. So we will compute for the cost of materials issued, cost of the ending inventory, and the unit cost. Okay, most problems, mo jud na siya ang gina-ask. And then lastly, we have special topics. So we will learn how to compute for the purchase discount, the quantity discount, and cash, and their journal entries. And then freight in, which I believe na-tackle na po ninyo before. So accounting also for spoiled, defective, scrap, and waste materials. So we will learn how to journalize them, and if i-include ba siya sa if i-charge ba siya sa all production or for that specific lang a job. And then also ang inventory valuation. So we will learn how to measure inventory now based on the standards. So I hope you're ready. Okay, so the inventory systems. So there are two. So again, for periodic, di ba, we have a purchases account. If we purchase a material on account, di ba, the entry is debit purchases and then credit accounts payable. And then under periodic inventory system, we also have materials inventory beginning na account. And then ang end niya, materials inventory end, is determined by a physical count of materials on hand at the end of the period. So, i-recall lang nato ang formula nila. So, di ba, if we add materials inventory na beginning plus ang purchases, so we have total materials available for use. And then, if i-deduct na to ang materials inventory, and so we will come up with the cost of materials issued. So for perpetual inventory, so they also have, this system also have materials. So for perpetual inventory system, it do not use purchases na account. So instead, it uses materials inventory nga account. So if you purchase a material, so debit kag materials inventory account, and then credit accounts payable or cash. And then beginning materials inventory account is actually the balance at the end of the previous period. So more paano siya, carry. So for cost of materials issued, entry for this is a debit to work in process and then credit to materials inventory nga account. And so, dili neta mag-need nga mag-wait pa kita mahuman ang period to determine the cost of materials issued. Every time na i-issue, ma-determine na nato siya. So, both cost of materials issued and ending materials inventory can be directly ascertained after each transaction. So that is for perpetual inventory system. So I hope you are familiar with the two. Okay, so again, as I've mentioned before, there are 5 materials control procedures. So we have order cycling, so review of materials on a regular or periodic nga cycle. So for example, kana kung nakaibugasan, inventory count, ano lang, and then min-max method, orders are placed when inventory level is at minimum and the quantity to be ordered should be sufficient to bring the inventory back at a maximum level. So we also have 2 bin method. So when the first bin is empty, an order will be placed. The second bin will provide coverage until the order is received. We also have automatic order system. So computerized na siya that automatically places an order when the inventory reach a predetermined level. And then ang ABC plan, so used with items having different values. So kana, for example, ang kanang sa jewelry, di ba? A daw, most expensive item. So, gagmay lang isilag on hand. Tapos, ay lang siguro na i-order ang customer na item B, moderately priced. So, mas sila gina segregate. Okay, so those are the control procedures. So, okay, we have the organization for control. So if you are running a big company, no, materials is a very big nga cost nimo. So you need to organize people nga mo control ana. So we have identified here 5. So we have the purchasing department. So kailangan maguna sila separate to make sure nga controls are in place. So for purchasing department, sila ang mag-place sa order of materials with reliable suppliers. So syempre, dapat katong quality nga ang ilahang panani is they need to make sure that they are purchasing quality na products tapos at a lower price. So kung kung daghan ang i-order, di ba lesser na lang siya at the right time and at the right place. And then, so kung na-purchase na siya sa purchasing department, syempre, dili sila ang receive ana. It's another department kay para na ay division sa ilahang work. So the receiving department inspects the incoming shipments and verification of quantity. So dapat kung unsa tong gi-purchase sa purchasing department, mo po dapat to ang ma-receive sa receiving department. So that is to avoid man good mga mga anomalies. So mag-prevent na siya nga separate sila na department. And then our storeroom or our stock room, so they protect materials against physical deterioration and ensure that stocks are properly issued. So for example, if kailangan di ay kaning nga material, kailangan siya nga i-freeze baka ha. So the stock room people will make sure that those items are handled properly. And then we have the accounting department. So ang mag-record sa transactions with supporting documentary evidence, which we will discuss. And then ang cash department, so they will be the one to pay for those items. So as you can see, grabe ang division of labor. Kay inana dapat ka strong ang controls nga i-place when it comes to materials. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about nga need sa accounting department. Okay, so we have the purchase requisition. So this is from the storeroom nga supervisor or production manager to inform the purchasing department of a need for materials or supply. Kay dili man magbuot-buot lang ang purchasing department nga dili bitaw sila mo volunteer nga oh kanang gusto na mong magpapalitan ng material. So dili sila ilang job is just to purchase materials. But the storeroom nga supervisor ang mag-tap nga uy palitaan niya na. And then the purchase order, so this is not the request from the purchasing department to a supplier for the specified goods at an agreed price. And then a receiving report, this is a document from the receiving department showing the details of materials, so ang quantity and specification as it arrived to them. Kay basin lahi ang gi-order sa purchasing department tapos lahi ang niabot. So they need to make sure nga same sila. And then the materials requisition slip, so this is the written order to the storekeeper by the production department head or job supervisor to deliver or issue materials or supplies to the place designated. So issue na nimo ang materials for production. So daghan ni siya sa internet, pero wala jud siya ang examples ani nga mga business papers, but wala sila murag standard or it depends on the company basta kay makita to nga mga details. Okay, so this is the flow chart for materials nga acquisition. So sige, this is just a screenshot sa book. Okay, so let's start from the storeroom. Okay, so they're the one that safeguards the materials and then prepares the materials ledger. And sige, so for example daw, sa storeroom, nakuan na nga, gamay na lang ta og for example, okay, so for those tanfil ko, for example, for example, ang kanang boxes nga sa bananas lugar, for example. Okay, so nakita na sa storeroom, oy gamay na lang ta og boxes tapos kanang karton. Sige, gamay na lang kitag karton. So we need to purchase kuan man na siya, knockdown boxes pa man na siya kay there's one person nga murag i-form ang box. Sige, so knockdown boxes amo ang term. Okay, so the storeroom clerk will create a purchase requisition. So when inani ka inani ang need na mo nga karton ana. So he or she will prepare the purchase requisition. So katong nga file or katong nga isa raw na ka paper, so ihatag na niya sa purchasing department. So they will know nga ay kuan need day sila og karton. Sige mag purchase ta ani. So they are much more knowledgeable kung asa ang supplier ang pinaka nice of quality tapos lower ang cost. Okay, so if na-determine na to nila, murag nagpa-bid na lugar sila, they will prepare the purchase order. So take note of the documents that they are preparing. So they will prepare the purchase order. Okay, so the purchasing department will send the purchase order to the supplier na dayon nga. Okay, supplier, mo niya mong i-order ka number of karton. And then, from, okay, unfulfilled order file. And also, the purchase order, hatag po na nila balik sa storeroom to make sure nga kanang, okay, storeroom, nag-order na mi. Murag mo na ilahang signal nga, dili magol kay nag-order na mi. And then they will also send it to the receiving department. Okay, receiving department, this is the number of karton that we are ordering to the specific supplier. So, ready mo diha kay basin mo abot ni siya. So, make sure nga maugid ni ang akong i-order, akong i-purchase, maugid ni siya ang moabot sa inyo ha. Okay, so from there, so for example, si supplier, nag-prepare na po dayon siya og invoice. Okay, so from this order, mo ni inyuhang i-bayro nun. Mo na siya ang nasa invoice. And then the invoice will be submitted to the purchasing department. Okay, mo may nag-order. So, mo pa dapat ilahang connection bali sa company. Okay, so okay, naman yung arrow dayon. Okay, so pag nanato siya nga invoice, ihatag na dayon sa purchasing department sa accounting department. So through a disbursement nga voucher. So that is with, so i-attach to, i-prepare sa Tagalog copy sa purchasing department, ang accounting department sa purchase order, and then ang sales invoice from the supplier. So i-record na dayon siya sa accounting department as a debit to materials and then credit accounts or vouchers payable. So ma-appear din siya sa general ledger. So I know you're familiar with the two types of ledger, diba? General and the special ledgers. Okay. And then syempre, bayaran na dayon siya sa cash nga department. And then eventually, basin napamanay mga pila ka number of days nga basin layo ang supplier ana. So eventually ma-receive na dayon siya sa receiving department. So they check the materials and then mag-prepare na din sila og receiving report. Tapos kadto na dayong materials nga ang mga karton lugar nga na-purchase na, ihatag na dito nila sa storeroom nga. Okay, na di ba nana nyo hang gi-request nga mga karton. Ana. So that is the flow chart for in acquiring materials. Okay, so I hope that's clear to you how companies, more general to siya, how companies purchase or order materials. So The question now is, from the storeroom or the stock room, no, kanang there's a question on how many units should they maintain to mitigate the risk of stockouts. So that question can be answered by determining the safety stock. And then, so if ma-determine na to ang safety stock, no, when will orders be placed di ay? Kanus ata, so kay nakabalo naman ta pila, kanus agi data mag-order. And then, lastly, there's also a question on how many units ang atong i-order that will give the company ang pinaka lower na ordering and carrying cost. Okay, and that will be answered by computing the economic order quantity. Okay. So for safety stock, di ba, ang question on how many units should be maintained to mitigate the risk of stockouts. So definition of the safety stock is, it is the extra quantity of a product which is stored in the warehouse to prevent out of stock situation. Kay naluoy kayo kung magsige na lang tagka-stock out, tapos kana mag-contribute siya sa loss sa business. So they need to make sure nga padayon ang operations. And dili dapat gyud mahitabo nga ma-out of stock ta. Okay, undangan na ta ang production kay wala tay stock. Dapat murag mga you're fired gyud dayon if maabot ana nga situation, no, kay sayang kaayo. Okay, so the formula for that one, for safety stock, is maximum nga daily usage of a material multiplied by the maximum lead time. So lead time is the days na siya nga gikan sa pag-order hangtod moabot ang material. So, and then ang average, i-deduct tayo na to ang average daily usage multiplied by the average lead time. So, muna siya muhang safety stock. And next, ang reorder point. So, when will we order? So, this is the point at which items of material should be ordered to maintain uninterrupted production. Kani. So, the formula for this one is ang daily usage. So, pila to ka units ang gina-use every day multiplied by the lead time kay aron ma-estimate jud siya nga from the time nga nag-order hangtod maabot siya. So, muna siya ang need na to plus ang safety stock dayon. So, that is our reorder point. So, kung maabot na ani nga level ang material, order na gyud. Kaya kung dili pa ka mo order, safety stock na lang ang mabilin. Tapos, kung gamiton tong safety stock, ang lead time pa ni may mong hunahunaon, di ba? Ma-out of stock yun ta. So, really, really important to determine the safety stock and the reorder point. Okay, sige. So, let's show. So, this is actually problem 14 sa a book. Okay, so the Nicole company has obtained the following costs and other data pertaining to material X. Okay, so we have the order quantity, normal use per day, maximum use per day, minimum use per day, and ang lead time. Okay, so we are to compute for the safety stock nga maximum safety stock. And then ang order point, yung normal maximum inventory and the absolute maximum inventory. Okay, so for this problem, we have so i-assume na to that average is the normal use. Okay, so maximum nga 600 minus ang 500 nga normal, and then so that is 100 units multiplied by 5 days nga lead time. So our safety stock is 500 units. Our order point is ang normal 5 days nga lead time multiplied by the normal use plus ang safety stock. So that is 3,000. So for normal nga maximum inventory, need na to i-find ang average nga order quantity. So we only need to i-assume na to nga beginning and end magud na mo na ang divide 2 siya plus ang safety stock. So our normal maximum is 2 to 50 units and ang absolute is ang order quantity nga 35 plus ang safety stock. So these are your answers. Okay, next. So, di ba, how many units? The quantity, economic order quantity, is the quantity to be ordered that keeps inventory levels at an appropriate level to ensure uninterrupted production, which at the same time results in the minimum total inventory cost. Okay, so there are two ways to compute for EOQ. Ang tabular method, so the order size with the lowest total amount of inventory cost. So ang inventory cost is total order cost plus total carrying cost will be ang EOQ. And we also have the formula method that is the square root of 2 multiplied by cost of placing an order multiplied by the units of number of units required annually over the carrying cost per inventory. So please do memorize this formula. Okay, so before we will try to compute for EOQ, I just want to differentiate sa inyo ang ordering cost and carrying cost. Okay, so kung mag-order ta sa Shopee, di ba naman good siya shipping fee. Kung may nalang og na ay mga vouchers. So examples of ordering cost kay usually per order man siya. So gi-compute na nadaan nila ang salaries and wages of employees engaged in the purchasing, receiving, and inspecting materials. So part sa ordering cost is ang communication cost. Kailangan og wifi. And then mga supplies, mga papers ba nila. And then ang materials, accounting, and record keeping. So daghan pa kay examples nga ordering cost, mga electric bills, part na siya sa pag-order nimo. And carrying cost, so material storage and handling cost, interest, insurance. So, di ba pag order nimo, i-transport na po dayon na nila. So, kana nga carrying cost, kana na ay possible nga makawata na. So, the company needs to pay for the carrying cost, mga insurances, and records and supplies associated with carrying of inventories. Okay, so let's now try to compute for EOQ using the two methods. Okay, so for tabular method, ako na siyang prepare. Okay, so Perlin Company buys a material for 10 pesos per unit. And the company needs 10,000 parts a year. So, ang gina-require, di ba, in computing EOQ is the total number of units required annually. Please take note nga annually siya are needed. Carrying cost is 0.8 per unit and the ordering cost is 10 per order. So in using tabular method, we need to plot 6 columns. So column 1 is the order size. So mangita ta og way nga unsa tong pinaka So for order size, so sa 10,000 parts, pwede man na siya nga tigi-tigi order, di ba? So, if kanang ko lang i-plot lang nga if tag 100 ang atong i-order, so ika 100 lang pud ta mag-order, di ba? Kung 300 ka parts atong i-order, so per order ika 33 pud ta mag-order, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then muna second is the number of orders, kay di ba per order man ta, or per order man atong pagbayad. So the number of order, so ang next is we can now compute for the total ordering cost, which is ang order size multiplied number of orders, I mean, multiplied by 10 pesos nga ordering cost. So, multiply lang siya. And then, our average inventory, we need to compute na dayon for the carrying cost. And carrying cost is the average nga inventory nimo. So, sa order size nato, i-divide na siya og 2 kay bali. Assume magod siya nga. So, from the order size, i-divide na siya into 2. So, 100 divide 2, 300 divide 2. So, 50, 150. Okay. And then, to compute for the total carrying cost, i-multiply lang siya sa 0.80 per unit. So, that is our total carrying cost. And then, kung i-add ang total order cost and carrying cost, we will now arrive at the total inventory cost. So, dinhi na din ta magtan-aw if ahash sa ani nga mga order size ang pinakagamay o inventory cost. And we have determined here ang 400 pesos. So, ang EOQ nato is with the order size of 500. And then for formula method, so di ba square siya sa 2 multiplied by the cost per order multiplied by the units required annually and then divided by the carrying cost per unit. So calculate ni siya, then we will arrive at 500. The same with the tabular method. Okay, so next we will now discuss the methods of costing materials. So, number 1, we have first in, first out, or FIFO. So, di ba, materials purchased first are the first materials to be used pod. So, kung sa tong giunag purchase, mo pod silang una gamiton. Second is last in, last out. So, ang last pinaka bag-o nimo gi-order kay mo po to ang gamiton. This is actually no longer permitted kay maunsa lawar tong mga first nimo nga gipang purchase, di ba? What if sige kag issue sa katong newly purchased pud nimo, how about katong mga daan na? And then average cost method. So we have 2 here kay based sa inventory system. So moving average method for perpetual inventory and then weighted average for periodic inventory system. Okay, so let's try to answer a problem that uses the four methods. Okay, so we have here a problem. So the dates and then transactions. Okay, so let's first try to use first in, first out. Okay, so for August 1, we have 400 units. So units and then And it is at 10 pesos. So total ana is 4,000 pesos ang cost for the beginning nga inventory. Okay, so for August 12, so nag-purchase daw ta, naka-receive ta og 600 ka units at 12 ka pesos. So that would mean ang total cost of the inventory is 7.2. So balance nato at on August 12 is kani ang beginning plus ang kani po dayon atong gi purchase. So for August 16 dayon nag-issue ta og 500 ka units. And since this is first in first out month, so katong beginning balance nato nga 400 units, so i-issue na to siya. So 400 at 10 pesos, so 4,000 ni siya. And then ang 100 kay 500 naman ang gi-issue. So at 12 pesos po this one. So cost nato would be is 5.2. Okay, so the balance na lang dayon is kaning 600 minus 100. So still at 12 pesos. 100 multiplied by 12, so the balance is 6,000. Okay. So on August 18, nag-purchase na po siya og 300 units at 15 pesos. So para siya sa kanang gasolina ba nga maglaylay siya price every day. So unta no lower bunker. Okay, so 300 multiplied by 15, so that's 4.5. So atong balance is kani siya, balance sa 16, and then ang gi-purchase po dayon nato nga 4.5. Okay. So on August 20, nag-issue na pud ta og 200 ka units. So, di ba, first in, first out. So, kani gyud ato ang kuhaan og 200 units at 12. And that is 2,400. So, that would mean ang nabilin na lang is kaning 500 minus 200. Okay. And then pagka August 25, nag-purchase na pud siya og 400 units at 14. 5.6. So ang balance is kaning sa taas, and then i-add lang po din ako tong 400 nga at 14. So 5.6. On August 28, nag-issue na po siya og 400 units. So kuhaan na to daan is kanilang nga balance. So ang kaning 300 tanan ni, and also kulangan pa din siya og 100. Okay. That is 1.5. Okay, so that would mean ang remaining na lang nga balance nato is this one. Pero minus ni siya 300 minus 100. Okay. 3,000. So, at August 28, 86 na lang ito ang inventory. On August 30, na-return sa storeroom. So, balik ko na to ang yahang issued og 50. So, kay gi-indicate man jud siya nga sa August 16 niya siya nga issue 1. So, the unit price would be kaning 12. And then, so ang amount ana is 50 multiplied by 12. So that is 600 nga as negative. Okay. So our balance, ending balance sa inventory is kani siya, balance sa 28 plus ang 50 nga gi-return. So that is 600. Okay, so our materials ending inventory na dayon is sum ani is 92. So sige ako lang i-copy diri. Okay, sum ana is 92. So if we are also to compute for the cost of materials issued during the month of August, so kanilang sila. That is 12,1. So okay, so this is for first in, first out. Okay, next. Let's try last in, tapos last out. Okay, so let's start with our beginning inventory of 400 units at 10 pesos, so that is 4,000. So again, on August 12, naka-receive siya, so 600 at 12, so that is 1272. Okay, so balance is kaning beginning and then ang kaniyatong purchase. Okay. On 16, nag-issue siya og 500 units, di ba? So kay last in, last out man ta, ang kuhaan nato is kani siya. So 500 units at 12 pesos. And that is 6,000. Okay, so ang balance na lang is kani, ang beginning, and then 600 minus 500 nga gi-issue. So still at 12, so that is 1,200. Okay. For August 18, nag-purchase na po siya og 300 units at 15. So 300 for 5. Our balance is kani before and then plus kani dayon nag-purchase. Okay, so for August 20, nag-issue siya og 200 units. So last in, last out man ta. So we are going to use the unit cost nga 15. That's 3,000. Okay, so ang nabili na lang is kani. And then, katong bag-o na to nga gi-purchase minus ang gi-issue nga 200. So 100 na lang bilin at 15. So that is 1,500. On August 25, nag-purchase na po siya og 400 units at 14 pesos. So that would be 5,600. And then, ang balance din nato at August 25 is kani siya plus ato ang gi-purchase. Kani. 5.6. Okay, so on 28, nag-issue siya og 400 units. So, sa walay pagduha-duha, kaning nasa last atong unit cost. Okay, so ang bili na lang is kaning tulo. So, since gi-indicated niya that these were issued in August 16, so ang unit cost po na itong gamiton is 12. This one. Okay, so that would mean na atay 600. Okay, so our balance would be kani. And then, ang 50 po dayon, this one. But, nabalik na siya sa atua. So, mura siya addition. Okay, so our ending materials inventory on August 31 is 67. And then our cost of materials issued during the month of August is 14. So the cost of ending inventory on August 31 would be this one, 7.3, and then the cost of materials issued during the month of August is some ani, so that is 14,000. Okay, so that is for LIFO. Okay, so what if the company is using a perpetual inventory tapos average dayon? So we need to make it a table again. So kani beginning 400 units at 10, and then on August 12, so nag-purchase siya og 600 units at 12. So at 12 months, so this is 7.2. So our balance na dayon is, di ba, sum aning beginning and this one. Tapos, cost is 4,000 plus ang 7.2. So, from there, we can determine our unit cost, which is ang 11,200 divided by 1,000. So, our unit cost now is at 11.20. And this will be our unit cost sa pag-issuance na din sa materials. Okay, so on August 16, kani, nag-issue tag 500 units at kanina dayon unit cost will be kaning 11.20. So how much would be the cost of material issued? So 500 multiplied by 11.2, that is 5.6. So our balance would be ang 1,000 minus na to og 500. So, and then ang balance pod minus na to og 5.6. So that is 5.6 also. So our unit cost on August 16 is 5.6 divided by 500. So at 11.20 still. So on August 18, nag-purchase na po tag 300 ka units at 15. So that is 4.5. So balance na to is 500 plus ang 300. So that's 800. And then ang cost niya 5.6 plus 4.5. Okay, so our unit cost is 10,100 divided by 800. So unit cost is now at 12.625. On August 20, so nag-issue ta og 200 ka units at so kanina dayong new unit cost atong gamiton 12.625. So total ana would be 200 multiplied by 12.625. So that is 2,525. So balance would be 800 minus and 200. So at we need also to deduct the cost. So 10,100 minus 2,525. So our unit cost is divided by 12.625. On August 25, nag-purchase na po tag 400 ka units at 14 pesos. Okay, so that is 5,600. Okay, so our balance would now be 1,000, and then ang cost is 13,175. Okay. Unit cost will now be 13.175. Okay. And then on August 28, nag-issue na po ta og 400 ka units at kanina dayon nga unit cost 13.175. So total ana is 5,270. So i-deduct na to 1,000 minus 400. And then ang ihapong cost minus kani 5,270, 79 na lang. So still at 13,175. On 30, so natay gi-return. Negative 50 na siya diri sa issue. So we are going to use the unit cost sa August 16, which is 11.20. Okay. So that would be 560. Okay, so our balance now would be 600 plus ang 50. So unit cost dayon will be ang kaning 7,905 plus 560. Okay, so unit cost will be 8,465 divided 650. So that is 13.02. Okay. So our cost of ending inventory is this one. And then the cost of the materials issued is 12,835. Okay, so last method is if the company is using periodic nga inventory system, so we need to use for the weighted, the moving weighted average. Weighted average. Okay, so for weighted average, we only need to compute for the weighted average unit cost, which is ang total number of units nga i-purchase na to. And the beginning also. So on August 1, di ba naatay inventory at 400 at 10 pesos. So that would be 4,000. And then, napunta sa August 12, nga 600 at 12. And then, sa 18, napunta 300 at 15. And then, ang sa 25 nga 400 at 14. Okay, so total units nga purchased is 17, and then our total cost is 21,300. So if we divide that one, we will arrive at a weighted average unit cost of 12.529. So if we are to compute for the cost of ending materials inventory on August 31, so ang na-receive na to, di ba, is 17. The number issued na to is 500 plus 200 plus 400 minus ang return na 50. So we have 1,050. So that would mean that the ending inventory in units is 650 multiplied by the weighted average unit cost of 12.529. So our cost of ending inventory is 8,143.85. So always round your answers to the nearest nga two decimal places. The cost of materials issued during the month, kay sugat ni 1,050 multiplied by the weighted average unit cost. So that is 13,155.45. Okay. So we have here the comparison, no? So the different methods kay lahi-lahi sila og lahi-lahi sila sa amount sa cost of materials issued. So please be very, very careful to read the problem kung unsa nga method ang gamiton, okay? So let's proceed to the next topic. So guys, may nang kong tubig. So we are now on the last na yun, ang special topics. So we have here discount, and then freight, accounting for spoiled, defective, scrap, and waste materials, if it charged versus to the specific job or to all production. So, and then ang inventory valuation. So, gamay na lang. Please have enough patience with me. Okay, sige, let's start with discount. Okay, so there are 3 discounts you mentioned sa book. So, trade discount, this is deducted before any exchange takes place and therefore does not form part of the accounting transaction and is not entered into the accounting record. So, usually kay i-indicate jud ni siya nga trade discount ana. So for this example, Tokyo Corporation buys all of its materials with a list price of 400 from Oregon Company and is allowed a trade discount of 20-15-10. So ang pagkuan na is magnet method na siya. So ang 400 multiplied by 80% multiplied by 85% multiplied by 90%. So, net price na lang niya is 244,800. So, sa entry nimo, ang debit kag materials, credit kag accounts payable with 244,800. So, dili na ni mag-appear ang trade discount nga 155,200. So, please read kay basin malipat mo ba. So, and then we have quantity discount. So these are cost savings for volume purchases, and like trade discount, it is also not entered in the accounting record. So kani ang example, very obvious example is buy 2 get 1 free. So, for example, ang Rai Plaza Gaselog egg at 10 per piece, but at 9 if more than 10 pieces are being purchased. So, mo follow sa ilahang merge promo. And muna, dili siya makita sa accounting records. And then the cash discount, this is granted to encourage prompt payment, and I believe na take up na ninyo sa accounting essentials. So kung gross method, gross of net method, and then the allowance method. Okay. Okay, so freight in, na-discuss na po ni siya before. So, dahil duha ka, paano siya, difference lang siya sa in recording. So, if direct charging ta, freight is included in the cost of materials, thus increasing the unit cost. So, freight may be allocated using the following. So, kung relative peso value, based on the peso value sa item purchase, and then relative weight method kung kilograms by lahang kuan. So, direct charging, meaning cost of freight is, ang entry is debit kag materials, credit accounts payable. Bali, added siya sa materials na cost. And then if indirect ka charging, charge siya sa factory overhead nga account. And i-indicate man po sa problem kung unsa nga method gamiton. Okay, so dinhi na ta sa accounting for the different nga kanang materials. Okay, let's start with spoiled nga materials. Okay, so spoiled materials, di ba, these are kanang raw materials nga ang lifespan niya is very short. So, madaot yun siya. So, for example, ang mga fruits, di ba, kung dili siya kanon, mas spoiled siya. So, same with sa production, na po yung mga raw materials nga ma-turn siya into waste during the manufacturing process. So, naay two ways on how to account for those materials. So, if it is charged to specific job siya, ang reason sa spoilage is the job itself. So, increase the unit cost of the remaining finished goods in the job. So, mura siya for bali ni-increase ang ni-increase ang cost na dayon sa pag-manufacture. Ni-increase dayon ang cost sa pag-manufacture at na nga sa product. So the journal entry is i-recognize siya nga spoiled siya nga goods, and then credit work in process. So the amount recorded is the number of units spoiled multiplied by the estimated sales value per unit. Okay. And charged to siya to all production if ang spoilage is normal. So dili siya malikayan sa company. So the unit cost will remain the same because loss will be absorbed by all units produced and not those in the job. So ang journal entry ani is debit kag spoiled goods, and then ang factory overhead control, and then credit work in process. So let's try to answer a sample problem. I have here an illustrative problem. Harper Company's job 301 for the manufacture of tutu t-shirts was completed during August 2014 at the following unit cost. So, ang their materials is 20, their labor is 18, factory overhead that includes an allowance for 1 peso for spoiled work is 18. So, our total So our total unit cost is at 56. So final inspection of job 30 discloses 200 spoiled t-shirts which were sold to a jobber for 6,000. So katumanggong mga, hindi ko siya na-spoiled ang t-shirt, but katong mga na-spoil, pwede pa siya nga ibaligya sa company. So, journal entries to be made for this problem. So, number one, syempre kay ka-complete man siya 2 ka t-shirts. So, materials would be 20 multiplied by 2 ang their payroll. And then, ang factory overhead applied less the allowance. So, take note if i-charge siya to a specific job, dapat kay i-remove to nimo ang allowance for spoiled work. So, total debit work in process would be 121,000. Okay. So, since katong spoiled nga goods kay nabaligya siya, so lesser i-recognize ito itong spoiled goods nga 6,000 and then credit kag work in process. So meaning ang finished goods na dayo na to, di ba? Kaya assume siya completed tanan would be ang 121 minus ang spoiled goods na 6,000. So 115 na lang. But 2,000 na lang ka units ang imuhang bilin. Kaya na-spoiled man to ang 200. So, the unit cost is 57.50. Now, what if i-charge siya sa all production? Here, ang i-include na din mo ang allowance for spoiled work. So, our factory overhead kay 39,600 na lang dayon. So, debit and the work in process of 123,200. Okay, so if get charged siya sa all production, so ang ato pong i-credit sa work in process is ang total pud niya nga units. Unit cost, I mean. So ang 200 multiplied by 56, so that is 11,200. And since nabaligya man siya at 6,000, ang remaining ana would go to factory overhead control. Okay, so ang remaining na lang dayon nga sa work in process is 123,200 minus ang i-credit na itong 11,200 na spoiled. So that is 112,000. So to compute for the unit cost, 112,000 divided by 2,000. So unit cost is at 56. Okay. So next we have defective nga material. So defective nga materials are those that do not conform to a specification. So kung sa amua, sa dose and fill ko, if ang banana is dili siya musulod sa iyahang required nga weight, so i-reject siya, meaning defective na siya nga material. Okay, so again, nadiha pa siya duha on how we account it. That is to charge to a specific job. So if the reason of the defect is the job itself. So increase ang iyang unit cost of the remaining finished goods in the job and normally used if the rework is caused by the customer. Okay, so the entry is debit work in process, credit materials, payroll, and factory overhead applied. If it is charged to all the production, bali normal lang siya. Entry is factory overhead control, then credit materials, payroll, and factory overhead applied. So let's try to answer a problem. So what if katong gi-manufacture nga t-shirt Harper is na defective daw nga 200 units and record the following additional costs. So, bali rework pa sa company. So, again, dili na to i-include ang allowance for defective work. Okay. So, bali, natay additional cost man kay defective man ang 200. So, we also need to record it as part of our work in process. So, kani. And so, our finished goods na, ang work in process na to would be the sum sa rework plus ang original. So, to compute for the unit cost, 229,000 divided by 2 units lang gihapon kay na-rework man siya. If it is charged to all production, so take note, i-add ang allowance for defective work and then the cost to rework is charged to factory overhead control. So our finished goods nga a work in process kay as is lang siya. So divided by 2 units. So our unit cost is 56. So for scrap materials, so these are mga discarded nga materials but they still have monetary value or pwede pa siya i-recycle. So this is the journal entry if matrace siya to a specific job. So i-conscious sa credit siya sa work in process. If dili gid siya matrace sa specific job, meaning marag baligya pa man gud ning scrap materials, di ba daghan ka pamalit. So miscellaneous income siya, but if scrap is from factory supplies, so sa factory overhead control account po dayon siya. Ma-credit. Waste materials, so these are mga unwanted na or unsaleable na gid nga materials. So if the cost of disposal na lang dayon ato ang i-record. So the entry is if allocated to all the jobs, so sa factory overhead nimo siya, and then if sa specific na job, sa work in process pud nimo siya isulod. Okay, last but not the least, ang inventory valuation. So PAS 2 or the Philippine Accounting Standards provides that inventory shall be measured at lower of cost or net realizable value. So, di ba nakakompute na ta og cost? So, net realizable value is the estimated selling price in the ordinary course of business less the estimated cost of completion and the estimated cost necessary to make the sale. So, market value niya. So, whichever is lower, mo dapat siya ang mo-reflect sa balance sheet, sa inventory na line. So, let's take for example na lang on how to record inventory valuation. Okay, so actually this is the same problem that came out in the drill. So, mura na po siya og bonus sa inyo ha, guys. Okay, so on July 31, 2020, ang cost sa inventory, so meaning basin gigamitan ni siya og FIFO or moving average or weighted average. So, ni-come up ang company sa 365,900. Tapos, i-compare nato na siya sa net realizable value. So, again, di ba ang standard says nga dapat lower sa cost and net realizable value. So, aha man ang mas lower ani, di ba ang 365,900. So, ang katong nasa record sa books nato kay di ba nag-compute man ta, so kani siya ang nag-prevail. So there will be no adjusting entry. So kung the following year, ang cost niya is 348,105, and then ang net realizable value niya is only 341,755. So di ba dapat lower man ang ato ang ibutang sa balance sheet. So we need to adjust na gadayon. So since ang naa sa books na to is 348, paggamyan na to na siya by recognizing a loss on inventory write-down. Bali, paano siya? Deduction ni siya sa inventory. So, if we deduct this one by the net realizable value, so mag-record ta og loss on inventory write-down, 6,350, and then credit allowance for inventory write-down. The following year, so mas lower na ang cost. So, i-reverse na to siya balik. Kay para ang ma-reflect sa atong books is kaning cost at costa. So, that ends this recorded lecture. Please prepare for a post-test on Monday. So, thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you're still hanging on. Okay, we're almost at the end of the SEM, and I'm hoping that mas dako pa inyong grades sa midterm. Kay bawi jud ta karong finals. Kay this consists of 2/3 of your grade. So if you have questions, feel free to message me, and have a great weekend. Bye.